There are cars that get built, and then there are cars that get remembered. And what you are about to see belongs firmly in that second category. Because welcome back to Prime Car Culture. And today we are standing in front of a machine that does not just end an era. It obliterates the finish line and drags the entire concept of the muscle car across it in a cloud of tire smoke. This is the Dodge Challenger SRT Demon 170. The final, loudest, angriest word Dodge ever had to say about the V8 muscle car before the curtain came down. And if you thought the original 2018 Demon was the peak of American excess, you are about to find out just how wrong that assumption really was. So buckle in, because this is not a car you casually glance at. This is a car you study, panel by panel, bolt by bolt, and by the end of this video you will understand exactly why Dodge called this the last call. Let's start right where every good muscle car story should start. Right up close on that front end. And this grille is not decoration. Every inch of it is function first. The air grabber hood scoop feeds directly into the supercharger intake, and that aggressive black mesh opening up front is drinking in as much cold air as physically possible, because this engine is hungry, and Dodge wanted you to know it the moment you walked up to the car. The SRT badge sits proudly at the center of that face, a small piece of chrome that carries an enormous amount of history behind it. Back when street and racing technology meant one thing and one thing only: building the fastest street-legal cars in America. Now follow the lines up and over to the headlights, and these units use high-intensity discharge lighting technology, punched into a housing that is deliberately narrow and menacing. Because this car was never trying to look friendly, it was built to look like it was already moving, even while parked at a dealership. And if you look closely, you will notice the yellow-tinted Demon Eye graphic worked into the fender just behind the light housing. A nod to the original Demon's Eye badge, but reworked here with a 170 neck tattoo detail that only this final edition carries. Right beside those headlights, watch the daytime running lights come alive, a thin, precise strip of LED lighting that traces the edge of the housing, and this is one of those details that separates a factory hot rod from a true modern performance flagship, because the running lights are not just there to be seen on the road, they are there to give the front fascia a signature, something you could spot from 2 blocks away even before you heard that supercharger whine. Let's move around to the wheels now, because these are not ordinary forged aluminum wheels. Dodge engineered them specifically to handle the violence this car is capable of producing, up to 945 pound-feet of torque trying to twist them apart. And depending on how you spec the car, you can even option genuine carbon fiber wheels that shave over 150 pounds off the total weight, mounted here with 11-inch wide Mickey Thompson drag radial tires in the rear. Tires that are essentially street-legal slicks, built to hook up hard the instant the trans brake releases. Down along the door, that handle is deliberately simple. No unnecessary chrome flourish, no gimmicks. Just a clean, functional piece that fits the entire philosophy of this car, because every ounce that did not need to be there was engineered out, and every ounce that stayed had a job to do. Up at the mirrors, you get a wide, aerodynamically shaped housing, integrated turn signal repeaters built into the shell, and a shape that was wind tunnel tested to reduce drag at the kind of speeds most street cars will never approach. Because remember, this thing has a certified top speed north of 200 miles an hour when properly configured. Now swing around to the back of the car, and those taillights carry that unmistakable full-width LED light bar design that has become a signature across the modern Challenger lineup. A continuous strip that glows red the instant you touch the brake pedal, instantly recognizable even in a rear-view mirror from half a mile back. And directly beneath them sits the real theater of this entire car, the exhaust. An active exhaust system with valves that can switch between a civilized street mode and a full open, ear-splitting track mode. And when this supercharged Hemi V8 wakes up through those pipes, it does not sound like an engine. It sounds like a controlled explosion happening 40 times a second. Just above the exhaust and centered on the rear fascia, you will find the Demon badge itself, reworked for this 170 edition with a red and yellow color scheme, and the number 170 worked directly into the design, a reference to the elevated proof rating of the E85 fuel this car was engineered to run on. And it is a small piece of trim that carries an outsized amount of pride, because very few production vehicles in history have earned the right to wear a name this aggressive. Now let's step inside, because the cabin tells just as intense a story as the sheet metal outside. And the first thing that hits you is how wide and purposeful this dashboard layout is. A design that keeps every critical control within a driver's immediate reach. Because in a car built for the drag strip, hesitation costs you the run. Grip the steering wheel, and you will find genuine Alcantara wrapped around the rim for maximum grip under hard launches, with a red centering stripe at 12 o'clock so a driver can feel exactly where the wheel is pointed without ever having to look down, and an illuminated SRT badge glowing right at the center hub. Glance past the wheel, and the digital instrument cluster comes alive with a dedicated Demon 170 startup graphic, red gauge lighting, and a 4-digit VIN callout displayed directly on the screen, a personal touch that ties every single one of the 3,300 units built to the specific car sitting in front of it. To the right, the infotainment touchscreen runs Dodge's Uconnect system, giving the driver direct access to launch control settings, trans brake calibration, and even a dedicated Demon-specific performance page that lets you dial in everything from tire pressure to line lock, all from a crisp, responsive display mounted high enough to stay in the driver's natural line of sight. Down at the center console, the shifter is short throw and purposeful, paired with the 8-speed automatic transmission that Dodge tuned specifically for drag strip launches, shifting with a violence that most factory transmissions are never asked to survive, let alone thrive under. Slide into the front seats, and depending on how the car is optioned, you might find lightweight cloth bucket seats, stripped for maximum weight savings, or you might find the fully upgraded Laguna and Alcantara leather option, stitched by hand with contrast red thread running along every seam, a small but unmistakable signal that this is not a stripped-out race car pretending to be comfortable. It is a genuinely livable muscle car that also happens to be able to embarrass supercars at a stoplight. As the sun goes down, the ambient lighting inside really earns its keep, a soft glow tracing the door panels and console, red accenting that mirrors the exterior badge work, turning this cabin from an aggressive daytime cockpit into something that feels almost cinematic once night falls, the kind of lighting that makes every drive after dark feel like an event. Run your hand along the door panels and you will feel real carbon fiber trim pieces on the higher spec builds, paired with soft touch materials everywhere your arm naturally rests, and stitched leather accents that carry the same red thread theme from the seats all the way through the cabin, proof that Dodge did not forget the details even while chasing quarter-mile records. Now, the moment this entire video has been building toward, pop the hood and look straight down into the engine bay, and sitting right in the center of it all is a 6.2-liter supercharged Hemi V8, fed by a 3-liter supercharger that forces air into the engine at 21.3 pounds per square inch of boost, a number that sounds almost unreasonable until you remember the result: 1,025 horsepower and 945 pound-feet of torque when running on E85 fuel. Numbers that made this the most powerful muscle car ever sold by a major American automaker. Get in close on that engine, and you can see the specific badging Dodge applied just for this model. A Demon-themed supercharger badge sitting proudly on top of the intake. A visual signature that lets anyone who pops this hood know instantly they are not looking at a standard Hellcat. They are looking at the absolute final evolution of the Hemi V8 program. A motor engineered to send this car to 60 miles an hour in 1.66 seconds and through the quarter mile in 8.91 seconds. Numbers that still stand as some of the quickest ever recorded from a factory production vehicle. Before we wrap things up, it is worth pausing on just how limited this entire experience really is, because Dodge only ever built 3,300 examples of the Demon 170 for the entire North American market, making it the 7th and final last call special edition to close out the 3rd generation Challenger, and every single one of those cars left the factory with a numbered plaque documenting its place in that production run. Dodge engineers also built in genuine street-to-strip flexibility, a configurable drag mode that adjusts suspension stiffness, transmission behavior, and torque management to control how violently weight transfers to those rear tires during launch, alongside a computer-controlled trans brake that lets a driver hold the car against full engine load at the line, building boost and revs before releasing everything in a single, brutal instant. And for anyone brave enough, the car can be optioned with a factory harness bar and a parachute mounting system, hardware that exists because this thing is fast enough to genuinely need it on a certified drag strip. And that right there is the story of the Dodge Challenger SRT Demon 170. A car built not to compete with the electric future everyone else was chasing, but to slam the door shut on the combustion era with the loudest possible statement: 1,025 horsepower, a sub-9-second quarter mile, and a level of drag strip engineering that no other factory muscle car has matched before or since. This was Dodge's last call, and it earned every bit of that name. If this deep dive into American muscle got your pulse up even a little, make sure you hit that subscribe button right here on Prime Car Culture, because we bring you this exact kind of detailed, close-up look at the most legendary performance cars on the planet every single week. Drop a comment down below and tell us which car we should tear apart next. Give this video a like if you want to see more of this series, and we will see you in the very next one. This has been Prime Car Culture. Thank you for watching.